Hello everyone, and we're just going to give everyone a quick minute to join. If you do have a headset today, it's the best way to hear us. And if you can just make a quick comment or click the wave icon in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, it'll show that you can hear us okay. Maybe let us know where you're calling in from today or joining us from today. Or if you're participating in our Visit Utah Walker Tracker Challenge, maybe what milestone you're currently at. Okay, it looks like we're getting some responses so people can hear us. Hello, Karen. Hi, Lynette. Great to see you from Sydney and the North Coast, all the way from Rotorua. Very cool. All right, well, let's get started. Oh, someone's got only 11,000 steps to go in their challenge. They may have just passed Cedar City. Thanks for joining us, everyone, from Talk It Tuesday. For our Talk It Tuesday second installment, today focused on Cedar City. I am joined today all the way from Cedar City in Utah by Becky Lewis, who will take things over in just a moment. And she's a massive ambassador for the area and destination. She's definitely going to give you some a deeper dive today. In case I haven't met you, I'm Corey Marshall and fortunate enough to be the account director for the Utah Office of Tourism across Australia and New Zealand. And today is a great opportunity for you to extend your knowledge for when we're back selling holiday experiences. On a personal note, my last trip to Utah, I was actually in Becky's area and got to skidoo out to Cedar Breaks National Monument, which you're going to hear about today, and ski some of our greatest snow on earth in Utah at Brian Head Resort. Exceptional and awesome awesome experience. After today's webinar, both Becky and I are here to help you build itineraries and be the connection between you and all that Cedar City and Brian Head has to offer. So if you have questions after the fact, we'll provide our details at the end, and you can come through to either Becky directly or myself as well. A couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions as we go along and you haven't been on a webinar with us before, just type them in on the box and we'll either answer them during the webinar or at the end. And before, however, we will start today, I wanted to ask you guys a few questions. And you have to answer these questions and then correctly answer the questions at the end in order to qualify your entry to our spot prize today. And in case you didn't see what the spot prize was, in my opinion, it might be our best spot prize of the year. It's a Cedar City Under the Stars gift pack, which includes an outdoor vitals hammock, an ultralight pillow, glow-in-the-dark star maps, and a constellation mug. Now, how cool is that? So let's get answering these questions that are on the screen now. And you can go ahead and just pop your answer on the screen, not in the chat box. And so the first question is, have you been to Utah? And you can click the bubble yes or no. Have you been to Cedar City? Yes or no. And then have you sold Cedar City to your clients? Yes or no. So if I can get you to answer those three questions by clicking the bubble and then hit the black submit button at the bottom of the screen, you will be halfway to enter to that amazing spot prize. All right, it looks like we've got almost everyone in. Let's give it one more minute. There we go, awesome. Well, that's it for me. I am now going to turn you over to our expert, Becky Lewis from Cedar City in Utah. Take it away, Becky.
Thank you, Corey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my little portion of Southern Utah and to my home office. Sorry about that. But I'm in Cedar City. I've been fortunate enough to call this area home for over 40 years. I know that probably a lot of you are not very familiar with Cedar City. And so we're going to show you a little video to kind of get you a little more informed with it. And then I'll be back to you. Wow. Are you inspired? You want to come? Well, hopefully after we get finished with this, you'll even be more inspired. I want to give you a little information about Cedar City and this entire area, actually. Cedar City is located about 4 hours south of Salt Lake City and about 3 hours northeast of Las Vegas. It's very close proximity to both Zion and Bryce Canyon National Parks. Now, Cedar City has a very important history to these national parks, as well as to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, which is about a 90-minute drive from the Utah border, roughly 3 hours from Cedar City. In the early 1920s, the Union Pacific Railroad was very intuitive, and they built a line spur off of their main line. This was to come into Cedar City, where they ended up building a depot and a new hotel. Now, why? Because they were seeing the beauty of this whole area with Zion and Bryce Canyon National Parks being so close. So they commissioned an architect to design the lodges that were inside those 3 national parks. And they started bringing tourists into Cedar City on the train. And after staying the night in that new hotel, they would gather onto a small passenger bus. I think that sat maybe 11, 12 people. They were pretty small, but they had about 40 of them. So there was plenty to go around. And what they would do is they would take them, the drivers would take them on what was called a Grand Circle tour. Some of you have probably heard Grand Circle in the past, and this is where it originated from, right out of Cedar City. So they would take them on a tour of this amazing loop, and they would stay a night in each of the parks, Zion, Grand Canyon North Rim, and Bryce Canyon. And after leaving Bryce Canyon, then they would stop for lunch at Cedar Breaks National Monument. And then they would end up back in Cedar City, and they would stay another night before taking the train back, either towards the West Coast or the East Coast the next day. Now, the Union Pacific Railroad and their subsidiary, which was the Utah Parks Company, and that was based here in Cedar City, they provided this service until 1960. After that, the tourism traffic was getting to the point to where people were able to drive themselves, longer distances and everything, and they enjoyed that and doing the family vacations that way. So they were not getting quite as much participation on the train and decided to kind of step away from that. So that is how Cedar City first became known as the gateway to the national parks. Now, Cedar City is a wonderful little town. We have anything and everything that you could think of to do and to see in this small area. And the portion of southern Utah that I represent is not only Cedar City, but it's also Cedar Breaks National Monument and Bryan Head, which is a ski resort. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of these other areas. But before I do, let me just mention to you, Cedar City is like an hour's drive away from Zion National Park and about an hour and a half away from Bryce Canyon National Park. So this is why it all tied in to being right here. The Utah Parks Company, part of it, they were actually what was called the concessioners for those national park lodges after they became set. And the Union Pacific had built different buildings here in Cedar City. And one of those was a large bus garage, if you will, where they would do all of the maintenance on that. I actually started working in that building in 1982 for what was then the concessioner's name, TW Services. Anyway, it goes a long way back. but they had renovated that bus garage into office buildings. And that's where I began my career in tourism. So pretty cool that Cedar City has this really important touch to the national parks that are in this area. I'm going to let Laura, oh, excuse me, we already did that. Sorry, we already did the film. Anyway, sorry. Cedar Breaks National Monument is roughly a 20-minute drive from Cedar City, and it's absolutely glorious. 3,000 meters above sea level, so it literally will take your breath away. And it was designated in the early 1930s as a national monument by President Roosevelt. Some of you may not know what the difference is between a national park and a national monument. President can take and designate a national monument anytime that he would like, but a national park, they have to go through Congress, and there's a lot of different things that have to be done to it. But anyway, we're very fortunate to have this as a national monument right in our backyard. Now, when you are at Cedar Breaks National Monument, you can enjoy spectacular scenery. For those of you who have been to Bryce Canyon or have seen Bryce Canyon, pictures of it, you might think it looks a lot alike, and it is, because this is like how Bryce has several different amphitheaters. This is one amphitheater that has been portioned out. It's like on the other side of the mountain. I like to call it a miniature Bryce Canyon. It gives people a little bit more of an idea as to what they're going to see, because we do have the hoodoos. But excuse me, Cedar Breaks is also one of Utah's certified international dark sky parks. What does that mean? We don't have the light pollution. You know, you in big cities and large cities, you can't really see all of the stars. But when you are high in elevation in an area that does not have a lot of big cities in it, then those stars just pop out at you. You saw just a little bit of it in the film that we showed you just a minute ago. If you were wondering if that was pretend or photoshopped or something, no. We see those kind of stars every night. Of course, you know, if there's a lot of clouds, we can't really see that. But during the summer months, there's star parties, and you can, we've got wildflowers that are just all over the place. And it's just absolutely amazing. And one of the very interesting trails that you can take and do in Cedar Breaks is going to take you to some ancient bristlecone pine trees. They go up in age to like 1,600 years. And some of them are very, very large. And you can see a pine, one of the bristlecone pine trees that is maybe like 50, 60 years old. And it's just a baby, but it's about 20 feet tall or something. So they get a lot bigger than that. It's a very, very interesting little spot to go to, and very beautiful. We're very fortunate that we've got a visitor center that has been there. It was built in 1937, so it's not very large. And this year we're going to start construction on a new visitor center that's going to be more than twice the size, and it's going to have all different kinds of things that you'll be able to do in there. And the old building that's sitting there now, they're not going to tear it down. They'll keep it there, and they're going to be doing all kinds of different things with it. They haven't told me yet what that is, but it's going to be pretty cool. So I hope that when you come out to this area that you'll be able to go over there. In Cedar City, we have a Shakespeare festival. Don't want to scare anybody away with Shakespeare, because a lot of people do not speak Shakespeare. I'm one of those, but it's been going for years and years and years. It's going to be in its 60th season next year. 60 years. Now, the way that it all came about, there was a professor at what was then the college, it's now a university. His name was Fred Adams. And Fred saw that people were stopping in Cedar City on their way to visit the nearby national parks. And he wanted to come up with something that would entice them to stay and visit more here as well in this area. So he started up this dream of doing a theater. Started with one very small little stage, and now it's grown into three different theaters. And so it's pretty daggum awesome. So they do all different kinds of plays. They do matinees, they do evening performances, they do Shakespeare, non-Shakespeare. And at night, just before the first play starts, they have some free entertainment out on the grounds. And everyone can come and enjoy that for a few minutes. And they have professional actors that come in from all over the country, all over the world, really, to perform at the festival. So it's just wonderful. So come and make sure you see that. Now going into Bryan Head, which is roughly about a 30-minute drive away, and about a 5-minute drive from Cedar Breaks National Monument. We have a whole area designated as the resort, but the resort doesn't own the hotels, so it's a little bit different. The hotels that are there, we've got two really, really nice places. There's Cedar Breaks Lodge. Sorry about that, headphone falling out. Cedar Breaks Lodge, and also a Best Western Premium. So both of these locations are really nice to be able to go and stay there. And one thing that's really super nice about Bryan Head is that while it's a ski resort, it's open year round. The hotels are open year round. Hours drive away from Bryce Canyon. So it makes a perfect alternative to Bryce Canyon National Park during the summer months. And with being their off season, they are just a little bit easier on budgets. Parowan Gap is about a 15-minute drive from Cedar City. And why is it called a gap? There's actually a gap that was made by an ancient river that was flowing through the sandstone millions and millions of years ago. In about 500 AD, there were some native settlers there. They called them the Fremont people. And they started doing these rock carvings on the sides of the mountains and the cliffs. What has happened now is that this is probably, well, it's one of the country's most concentrated areas of petroglyph collection in the whole West. And they're very easy to get to, too. You can just drive right on out to them. There's a little parking lot that's right there, and you can just walk alongside. And as you can see by the girl here in this film, there's little signage up all over the place that tells you exactly what it is that you're looking at, what you're watching, what you're seeing, what maybe an idea was. So it's quite unique. Mountain biking destination. Oh my gosh, we have got so many mountain biking trails here in this whole area. You wouldn't even believe. In Bryan Head, we have over 322 kilometers of downhill trails and about 120 kilometers of trails in Cedar City itself. Most all of these trails were designed by the International Mountain Bike Association, or IMBA for short. There's 10 to 15 miles of trails that are added in every year. So they're literally all over the place. And of course, there's outfitters here in Cedar City and also in Bryan Head that can take and fix you up with the bikes and the helmets and everything that you would need to go and enjoy yourself with that. We have some new lodging properties that are in the area. Cedar Canyon Retreat is about 5 minutes east of Cedar City. So it's up on a canyon, in a canyon. You can see by the trees and everything that are surrounding it. You know, you're pretty much out in the wilderness when you go there, and it's really amazing. They've got a lot of different RV sites with hookups, and there's even a lodge that is there that you can rent the whole lodge. So if you had people that were coming out for like a family reunion, or if you had a large group that was traveling together, a bunch of friends or something, that would be great. They could rent out the lodge. They could have a few rooms that were inside for those like me that don't like to sleep outside. You know, they would have a place to be. And also somewhere that you could take and cook and fix your own meals and all. So that's a pretty cool place. And another that's similar with that kind of aspect is Iron Springs Resort. And Iron Springs Resort is opposite Cedar City. It's about 10 minutes to the west. But they have a really nice RV park and a boutique hotel that is, oh, it is so nice. I went out there last year to take and look at all of the rooms when they were first really getting it set up. And each of the rooms has like a little kitchenette area in it, you know, so you can take and bring your own food. It's perfect for families, absolutely perfect for families. Through this whole location here, they're still building it up. So they're planning on having like ATV rides and horseback riding and things of that nature. But like anything, you know, it takes a little bit of time to get it going, up and going like that. Some of the other types of options that we have here in Cedar City, we've got all of your branded hotels, your Best Western Plus. We've got La Quinta and Clarion. We've got a couple of different Hilton properties. We've got a Marriott property. So there's a lot of independence as well. It's literally something for everybody's taste and budget. There's even some little cottages that you can take and rent. Again, if you have like a family or a small group of friends that are traveling together and you really want to be kind of independent, you know, and stay a couple of nights someplace fixing your own meals and stuff. So you can take and do that. A huge amount of bed and breakfast properties all through this whole little area where I'm at, through the county. So Cedar City and in Bryan Head and a little town called Parowan, you can find all different kinds of little bed and breakfast places that are very, well, some of them are very unique to the area because they're themed after the Shakespeare Festival, and some of them are more pioneerish. In Bryan Head, those two hotels I told you about that are up there, there's a Best Western Premier, and the swimming pool that you see here, that's the one that's inside Cedar Breaks Lodge. Both of those properties are really, really nice and year-round. Again, if you're traveling during our summer months, it's the off-season for this particular location, so you can usually get some better rates there at these two hotels than what you would be during our winter months when the skiing is going. In Cedar City, we now have a winery and also a brewery. So the winery, well, they don't grow their grapes right here. They do all of the processing and all of the bottling, and they have it just so wonderfully done and so intimate. You've got all, a few different little rooms that people can take and come into. They can have a glass of wine or a cocktail and sit and enjoy themselves after a day of sightseeing. It's also perfect for visiting before you'd go to a Shakespeare play or even afterwards. In the same way with our brewery, it really does give you a little bit of everything to take and choose from. Some of our newer eating locations and options, we have a Silver Silo Bakery. When you look at it, it looks just like you're on the farm, with all of the silos and everything. They've got a little bit of inside seating and some outside seating. Now, it's mainly for coffee and pastries and stuff like this. But believe me, they have really wonderful sandwiches and homemade soups and, different kinds of family recipes and stuff like that. So, and they've got a special once a week that it's a smoked hamburger that they actually take the beef and put it into this large smoker outside and, take care of it. And oh my gosh, you think that you've gone to a whole nother world when you have that. And they only do that once a week. So right now it's on Tuesdays. We have the Bristlecone coffee and yoga place. How different is that? But of course, you don't want to do your coffee and your yoga at the same time because that could be kind of dangerous. A little French cafe, if you will. It's owned and operated by a chef that was actually working for several different Michelin-rated restaurants in France, and he really knows his stuff. So that's pretty unique to Cedar City to come and do that. And then if you're thinking about pizza, well, there is absolutely no place better to get pizza than at our locally owned Centro. You can get phenomenal salads and pizzas that you've never even heard of before. And they fix them all right there. And it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So that gives you a little bit of an idea as to what we have to offer here in Cedar City, in Bryan Head, in the county that I live in. It's all in my backyard. So come and visit us and let me know if I can help you out with anything at all. And thank you, Corey, for letting me have this opportunity.
No problem, Becky. Amazing. And I know I've even learned some things, and I've been there a couple of times now. So thank you so much for all your time today, Becky. And guys, I know there's a couple of ski wholesalers on here, and I would personally stayed on mountain at that Best Western premiere, and it is great for our marketplace. Just exceptional quality accommodation, and it is on mountain at Bryan Head, and I think that's a question we get asked a lot of. I did include a couple of links in the chat box if you didn't see that as Becky was going along, but we'll also follow up with those tomorrow in our webinar follow-up email that you'll all receive, and it'll also include a copy of today's recording. While I have you all, we are fortunate today in our Visit Utah Walker Tracker Challenge to not only have our current leader, Peter, and I'm sorry if I say your last name, Manas from Manas Travel Studios, with 1.43 million steps walked since the start of the challenge, but also our runner-up, which is Chinoa, currently with 1.3 million steps. So well done, you two, and thank you for your participation, and very, very, very impressive. However, I want to give shout outs to some of the teams as well. Hoot Holidays currently in the lead at 974,000. Manas Travel not far behind. Hello World Forest Hill and House Travel Barrington nearing up close. But also many in our top 10, like Karen and the team from Adventure Destinations and Ben from Travel Plan. See some from Mogul and Viva on as well. So thanks for your continued support. There are still 10 days to go in our Walker Tracker Challenge. And of course, Becky's Cedar City is the second to last stop on your journey if you haven't completed thus far. But today's also about a spot prize, just not about Walker Tracker. For our spot prize today, we do you answer the questions at the beginning, and you have to get the correct answers to these questions, which Becky talked about during her presentation. So question number 1, what is a petroglyph? And again, don't type the answer into the chat box. Answer right on your screen. So what is a petroglyph? Is it an ancient rock carving, a painting, or a carving in a tree? Okay, question number 2. Brian Head is known to have this in Utah. Is it the most wildlife, the highest base elevation, or the warmest summers? Question number 3. The mountain bike trails in Cedar City were designed by, and she definitely covered all of these, National Mountain Bike Trails Organization, the International Mountain Bike Association, or Trails Across America. Question number 4, how many theaters does the Utah Shakespeare Festival have? 1, 3, or 5? And question number 5, what is the driving time between Cedar City and Las Vegas, Nevada? What is the driving time between Cedar City and Las Vegas, Nevada? So if I can get you all to answer each of those questions and then hit the submit button, on the bottom of the screen, that would be awesome. Karen, just to answer your question about the accommodation at Brian Head on Mountain, some are ski in, ski out from a run, but they all offer ski out. And the actual Brian Head Resort is very, it's not a small, but it's very accessible to all the lifts. And there's just great dining up there as well. So yeah, it's on Mountain. All right, I think we got most answers coming in. We'll give you guys 1 minute more. It looks like some of you are taking your time to answer these to get one of that fantastic spot prize, Under the Stars spot prize, given away by Cedar City. How are we going, guys? Almost there. A little bit longer, I've been told, in the background here. All right, remembering that the Visit Utah Walker Tracker Challenge for you and your team is a completion challenge and not a race. But by doing today's webinar, you get an extra ballot in the grand prize draw. Next week, of course, we have our final Talk It Tuesday with Rocky Mountaineer and Rocky Mountaineer's new train service into Utah, which we hope you all will sign up for. It will give you an additional ballot as well into our grand prize draw with the challenge completing next Friday. But it looks like all answers are in. Becky and I just again wanted to thank everyone for your time today and for your participation. We'll be following up with that detailed information. And before we leave you, we will leave today with one final video that shows you what it's like to ski at Brian Head Ski Resort. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, Becky.
Brian Head is a beautiful little snowy mecca that's tucked in between bright fiery red rocks accented with white snow and green trees. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And you get to ski in it. It's fantastic. You think of the desert and I don't think people have any idea how many different shades of red are possible. And you get to Cedar Breaks and you immediately see the spectrum of red in contrast with beautiful green trees, a collection of bristle cones, and then you sit there at sunset. It's poetic. It's beautiful. It doesn't make any sense until you've seen it. I hear Steve really likes barbecue.
I'm from Kansas City, and that's barbecue capital of the world. So I thought, let's have live music every Saturday night and have barbecue. Everybody likes barbecue music and beer.
Today is going to be incredible. I can't wait. We are in beautifully stunning Bryan Head, Utah, and when you have a backdrop like that, it's hard not to be inspired. It's beautiful. Pretty amazing that you can ski 2 different ways in one day, be on my alpine skis, shredding some pretty steep terrain and really, really fun snow, and then go down to the parking lot, drive along the plateau for 5 minutes, put on my cross-country skis, and cross-country ski on a really nice, accessible, flat plateau out to an overlook and spend sunset overlooking a beautiful national monument. And finding such an insanely unique ski experience that's 3.5 hours from my doorstep just reinforces how much I love Utah. So Bryan Head was recently acclaimed a dark sky location in the States, and to spend sunset outside and watch the stars come out is pretty amazing.
We're in the business of memories, and I think everybody likes to be part of something bigger than themselves, that they feel that's important, that they're helping to build. All the employees are part of the family, and everybody feels that, and that transfers down to our guests. That's our biggest asset, is our culture.
Just tell that the soul of skiing is here in Bryan Head. And it's not seen, it's not a place to go to be seen. It's a place to go because you love to shred. And that is so evident in the locals. It's fantastic. It's awesome to ski here and feel like I'm making new friends after every run. It's great.